The challenges facing our teens today mean that more than ever, we need to be there to support them and encourage them. The DrStem Show is here to provide discussions about topics that will help promote healthy relationships, self-image, and success for teens, parents, and the community. Our young people can achieve more in life than they ever dreamed possible. The DrStem Show, hosted by Dr. Stem Malatini, will foster these discussions and encourage your participation.
Many people always question themselves whether they're having an impact on someone or not. Today's segment is actually dedicated to one student that left an impact on me, a therapist that was asking her, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And this young lady said, "I want to be an ambassador." Today, we are graced with the presence of a former ambassador of Zimbabwe and also a professor who was here with us before. But today, he's back to talk to us about his journey as an ambassador as well as his journey as an author. Welcome to the DrStem Show and welcome back, Professor Kahari.
Thank you very much for appearing once more on your program.
Yes.
And I'm delighted to be talking to you about my experience as an ambassador. But first of all, let me say, my becoming an ambassador was as a result of a compromise that the two political parties, ZANU and ZAPU, came to. I supported ZAPU and we lost the elections. And so this was an attempt to reconcile, because we all fought the war,
Yes.
to reconcile and by appointing some of the people from the losing party as ambassadors outside the country, to which I gladly accepted to. And I was appointed ambassador to West Germany, Italy, and Czechoslovakia then. Before now there are two countries now. The Czechs and the Slovakians have split now. But at that time it was one country.
Yes.
So I was ambassador to West Germany, Italy, and Czechoslovakia.
So for the sake of that young lady that I mentioned at the beginning of the show, do you have to be involved in some political forum one way or the other in order for you to be appointed as an ambassador?
No, not really. I wasn't a career diplomat.
Okay.
So a career diplomat would probably be anybody who is in the civil service and is appointed. But in other words, I was a political appointee.
I see. So it is still an appointed position is what you're
yes.
telling me.
Yeah.
Okay. It was interesting for me because then when I asked students what you want to be, it was it took me aback. You want to be an ambassador and that would be somebody, and I can guarantee you that that young lady, as smart as she is, I can see her as an ambassador one year.
It was quite an experience for me, actually. I'd never been an ambassador before, but the present president is the one who actually asked me to, appointed me.
Oh, you mean President Robert Mugabe?
President
Yes.
Mugabe
Yes.
appointed me. Initially, he wanted me to go to Australia, and somebody advised him because I had no experience at all. So he said, no, the best thing that we can do for Professor is to send him to a place which is already in existence.
Yes.
Which is West Germany, which was vacant at that time. And he said, we can't appoint him. He has never been an ambassador before. So let's transfer somebody from West Germany to Australia. And then Kahari goes to West Berlin, which is what happened.
How was it to be an ambassador and you've never been one before?
Oh,
How
yes.
did you adjust?
Oh, yeah, that's right. This is it's quite a thing, really. Because traditionally, actually, ambassadors are actually friends of the president or the king of the particular country. Yes. So this is what goes on today, and this is still going on today.
Yes.
Then, and it's still going on today.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So was it easy? Did they give you an orientation of what you're supposed to do? What does that entail, the duties of an ambassador?
Oh, yes, you have to be taught how to be an ambassador.
Yes.
So before we went, I was not the only one.
Okay.
There were many others going elsewhere.
Yes.
So we went through a course of training to teach us about ambassador's deportment, how to be an ambassador, and so forth. And I must say, I enjoyed my period as ambassador to Germany. I traveled all over Germany. Although I'd been to East Germany before, during the struggle, I had gone to do something in East Germany and so forth. I actually met Honecker and did something with him in order to make the war move forward in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
So when I went there, Honecker was no more, and of course I didn't go to East Germany. I was in West Germany.
I see. As an ambassador, were you able to go out and speak and do training about Zimbabwe? Is that a requirement?
Yes. I went there as an ambassador, but I was also a professor. I was actually not a career diplomat. I went there as professor. And so many universities asked me to come and talk to them. And this is where I was quite influential and on behalf of my country. And taking part in the taking a march past of the Germany Cadet Army, march past them and taking the salute and talking about literature, a number of universities and so forth.
Yes. Any challenges that you faced as an ambassador?
No.
In any of the countries?
Actually, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Zimbabwe at that time was at the top. And I had no problems whatsoever. I was invited to talk to all sorts of universities, all sorts of places. And I went to Italy. Of course, I was ambassador there.
Yeah.
I went to Italy, and it suited me very well because I'm also a Catholic. And I went to the Vatican to see the Pope then, and went to Czechoslovakia to see one of the writers of the novels who was the president in Czechoslovakia.
Yes.
So it was very interesting for me. And I must say it was the right time when Zimbabwe was at the top.
Yes, yes. One of the challenges that we face as people that are away from home is actually getting access to our ambassadors or the support that, I'm asking you these questions today as a fellow Zimbabwean who has no idea what is it that my ambassador, does for me here in the United States, and what is it that I can go to my ambassador for in the United States. And who is our ambassador that, because then they don't get to reach out for us. So, what is it that I can ask them for? What can I help?
Well, it's very difficult because really, although they can help you, but they really can't help you in some respects. But if you want something done at home, I think they can help you.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If you have minor problems here, which do not involve the police, you can go to your local ambassador, and he can be of some help.
I see. Okay. Because there's always a question of, what are they doing and what do they do, and how do we get to reach out to them? So it's always a good thing to.
Oh yes. You can go to your ambassador if you have got some people who want to visit the country.
Yes.
And you go to ambassador, and they will get in touch with the people at home.
Yeah. My hope, Professor, is that we will be able to invite our ambassadors and our delegates from, different countries for those that are away from home, and be able to bring them to see what it is that we have done being away from home, and see how we can be an impact back home. Because we didn't come here to stay here, we came here temporary. So the goal is to go back and be an impact at home. We're going to discuss more about your role as an ambassador, but I want to get more into the books that you're writing, because you're here in the United States for a reason this time around. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
How much difficulty do you have getting your employees or your customers to listen to the solutions you can offer? This may be one of the great frustrations in business. It's time to excel. DrStem now offers solutions with her Soft Skills Leadership Training Program and the Women's Executive Leadership Training Program. To reserve your seat in one of her coaching sessions, purchase her books, or to book her services, email her at drstemmalattini@gmail.com. or go to her website at www.drstem.org.
We're back talking to Professor George Kahari, who's also a former ambassador of Zimbabwe to many countries, as you have heard him. You see, I'm excited being here today, and actually my producer has asked me, why are you doing so good today, and how come everything is just flowing today? You know what the reason is, which is the same reason that I gave him. It's because I'm talking to someone who's passionate about what he has done with his life, who's passionate about talking to us about his work that he has done. I remember how many years, because he told us 84 years. So, Professor, talking about passions, that's one thing that we're starting. There's a big buzz about, following your passion, living your passion, doing what you love so that it doesn't feel like work. Is writing a part of your passion?
Well, in many ways, when you're at the university, if you are to be promoted, you must have evidence what you have done over the period. So over the period, I've been at this university now, where I am now on part-time and on contract. I've been there almost 30, well, let's say 40 years. Almost 40 years at the university. And I went there as an ordinary lecturer, and I rose up to the rank of senior lecturer and then professor at the same university because of my publications, which come up to 11 books. And the one I've come to America for will be the 12th one. We'll talk about that one shortly. But I've published 11 books in connection with Shona literature, its development, whether in vernacular or in the indigenous language or in the English language, by black authors. So that's what I've been doing. Now, and I might say it has not been easy because I started the discipline. So I'm the pioneer of writing about Shona narratives. And I'm not aware of anybody in Africa who has worked as hard as I have been, publishing, writing about indigenous literature, its link with oral tradition, with the folk tale, if you like, the legends, if you like, and the myths. All these genres are coming into writing now, as they have come into writing elsewhere in the world, all over the university. If you are the first novel, I must say, or romance, was written by Solomon Mtsairo in Zimbabwe in 1956, which is quite late, actually. All the other nations have been writing in Europe for hundreds of years, but we only started writing novels as such. A novel is different from a folk tale, in the sense that a novel is an industrial genre. It talks about what is happening today by somebody who saw it, as opposed to a traditional folktale, which is told to the people by somebody who never was there.
Yes. Yes.
So the somebody was never there. Actually, what he's transmitting is transmitting something new that he never went through himself or herself. So this is the difference.
Yes.
And so that's why my works are unique from that point of view.
Yes. Yes. Being of Shona descent myself, I want to sit here and thank you for having dedicated your life to writing, researching, and also teaching us about the origins of Shona. And having said that, a lot of people that are our audience, we get watched all over the world, are probably wondering, what is Shona? What is the origination of Shona? Can you tell us a little bit about, how Shona originated?
Exactly. Shona, there are many theories about the origins of Shona.
Yes.
But the one I subscribed to was first propounded by Professor Romnick of Cape Town University, a historian. And actually, it's quite a believable theory of his. Shona emanates from an Indian word, Pali word, which means gold. So Shona is from Suna, a Pali word which means gold. And actually the Indians they actually influenced us. I shall come to that later on. The Indians noticed that the country is full of precious minerals, which is actually being confirmed today. If you went to Zimbabwe today, you would find people digging minerals using hoes, whereas elsewhere in the world they have to go so many feet down to dig for wealth. But in Zimbabwe, people are actually looking for minerals using hoes and so forth. So Shona is a Pali word which emanates from an Indian word, a word which means, and it means a number of, a conglomeration of people whose totems are different. Strictly speaking, the people who carry the totem Moyo, are the owners of the country. They were the kings. And every chief of whatever tribe had to be touched on the head by a Moyo person.
I thought it was the Maranges who owned it.
No, not really. The Maranges, they are also have to be touched by the
Moyos.
By the Moyos.
Ah, that's interesting.
So, and the Moyos are actually the Kalangas.
Ah.
They are the Kalangas, who, as they moved further into the country, they lost the L phoneme, and it became R. And then but in Manicaland is Malianga, which actually means Marianga. And also in Mashingo, the Duma people, they've lost it. But otherwise, there are many words which are now no longer written as they were spoken. So these are this is the story behind the word Shona. And this actually triggered my imagination, particularly when I was taught this language at Kutama by my Sekuru Joseph Zengeza Dambaza, the father of James Chikerema, who is now late, whose sons were politicians. One of whom I taught, James Chikerema and Charles Chikerema.
Let's pick on that, Sekuro. I'm going to take a quick break, and let's pick on that, on how you were taught the Shona language. Today, if you're wondering what are they talking about, we are talking about authentication. We are talking about being your authentic self, being the real you. And for most of us, we have to go back to the roots. And that's what Professor is teaching us today. For those of you that are from Zimbabwe, we are talking about the Shona language, his dictionary that he's writing of Shona names that he will go into more detail when we come back. We're talking to Professor George Kahari.
As a youth motivational speaker, author, and coach, DrStem understands that in a world where today's youth and parents are jaded and disappointed by institutions and people they perceive as out of touch with the reality of their lives, motivation is a dose that is much needed. It's time to excel. DrStem Malatini is a refreshing change from the typical speaker. DrStem understands the pressures, heartaches, temptations, hopes, and dreams of the generation that is just now coming of age. Students listen in transfixed silence as she speaks with the clarity and confidence of someone who has worked with teens, parents, and teachers for over 20 years. Her high-energy school assembly programs create a defining moment for schools and provide an experience students never forget. To reserve your seat in one of her coaching sessions, purchase her books, or to book her services, email her at drstemmmalatini@gmail.com or go to her website at www.drstem.org.
Welcome back. We are talking to Professor George Kahari, and today he is in the country for a special reason, actually in the United States. And Professor, before we went on break, we were talking about the Shona language, and I know you're writing a dictionary, and that's what brings you to the United States this time around.
Exactly. I'm here this time around to look for a publisher for a dictionary I've been working on for the past 63 years. The idea was broached and came out from my teacher, Joseph Zengeza Dambaza, to whom I'm dedicating this dictionary. And and my contemporary, Dr. Silas Mundawarara, who also wrote about names quite early, if I might say. I think you can look for the article in the Herald, Southern Rhodesia Herald in 1953, which I also read about. And that's why I'm dedicating this book to these two people whom I think were inspirational to me. Yes. Now, the dictionary of names. Names are cultural. Yes. Names in this dictionary fall generally into two categories. There are those names that are ideological, if you like, or circumstantial. In Shona, there are names that are one you are supposed to get because it is your father's name.
Yes.
Like Kahari. Like it is pronounced Kahari.
Kahari.
If you say Kahari, it means a little pot.
Yes.
But it is also some influence. It is adopted from the Middle East or the Indian language. Kahari, which means one of the attributes of God. Because in Shona, a human being is created by a human being.
Yes.
That's why the word Mari in my dictionary will have those two meanings. The first meaning is that it's a woman is a Mari because she carries, she conceives the child into the pot, into the womb.
Yes.
And she is therefore the creator. Musika na in Shona, it means the creator of a child. Whereas in Shona, Mukomana means actually is the one who injects the child into the womb.
Yes.
So these two people are very important to come out with ana, mana. So this triad is always there,
Yes.
which puzzled also the Western philosophers
Yes.
when it came to the Holy Trinity.
Yes.
I don't want to be excommunicated. I'm a Catholic. I don't want to be excommunicated from my church.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
this triad, these three people are very important. The mother, father, and child. They're always there.
Yes.
But that's why when the first missionaries went to Nigeria, the indigenous people were questioning missionaries. They said, you are talking about the Holy Father and the Son. The question is, where is the mother? You see?
Yes.
So there's always that puzzle.
Yes.
And this triad is very important. It is also found, the missionaries used it, the triad, the writing, reading, and arithmetic. It's always three.
Yes. Yes.
The clinic, the church, and the school.
Yeah.
There's always three.
Yes.
It's a triad.
Yeah.
It's very important in life. For life, there must be three views to be taken into account. That's why Western philosophers in the Middle Ages, particularly those who propounded theology, Catholic theology, were actually also puzzled by this God the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. So it is always there.
Yes.
So this is what brings me to America, to find out who can help me publish this book, which at the moment is 2,531 pages.
And that makes how many names?
And carrying 107,000 names
In Shona.
in Shona. So I have translated those into English. At the moment, it is being edited
Yes.
to find out when it can be ready.
So you said how many names? 1,000?
107. Yeah, 107,253
Names.
names.
For those people that are listening, and out of 1,000, 253,000 names, they are going, well, it would be unique to give my child one of those names. Why should they select one of those names?
They should select one of those, particularly the short ones. The long, some of them are as long as Mississippi.
Yeah. Some of the names. Give us an example of one long one as long as Mississippi.
Oh. Not the word, but the river.
But the river. You mean the river?
Yes, I mean the river.
No,
They're
but-
long names.
But one example of a name.
Kumaziwanda Dzoka.
But that's one person's name?
Yeah. Kumaziwanda Dzoka. It's a name.
And a short one?
Short one. Asi.
I see.
But.
And that's a name. It'll be interesting. And what I like about, when I browse through your dictionary is because not only do you say the name in Shona, but it also has, an English
Of course, it's
explanation
translated.
to it. It's translated.
That's why
so-
I'm here, and that's
yeah.
why I think it can sell internationally.
Yes.
Because those people who are interested in Shona names can translate from English now into Chinese, or from English into Japanese,
Yes.
or from English into whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I know you said you started the book in 1950.
Yes.
And that gives us 60-something years,
Yeah.
right? 63 years that it has been in writing. And that's why it's a book that is worthy for anyone that has, a love of culture to have in their library, because not only are those names, self-explanatory, but I think they bring the culture of Shona culture into light.
The people's values
Yes.
are actually found in the names.
Yes.
For instance, I remember very well my my mother couldn't have any more than 2 children. My brother died quite early on, so I'm the only one. And so according to our tradition, my father ought to have married again, a second wife, in order to have children, more children than myself. That's why, because the new culture, my other name is Penny, an English Penny, the only one.
Oh.
Which I've changed to Pain, because I didn't like the idea of penny.
Because you don't want to be broke either, right?
I don't want to be broke.
You know, we've had a great chat with you. As the professor says, he has a brand new book. It's going to be a dictionary of names. These will be Shona names that will be translated into English so that you'll be able to understand what that name means. It's always amazing because when I came to this country, I didn't understand when people had names that didn't have meanings. So this is exciting that we actually have a Shona dictionary that's coming out with names that have meanings. This is a twofold interview that we had today because I'm hoping that someone else from Zimbabwe is also watching that knows Ndebele and will be able to write a dictionary of Ndebele names. Why? Because my name is Ndebele. It's Stembile. I know it means hope, but there are more names that we need to know what they mean in Ndebele. You've been watching my interview with Professor George Kahari, and I hope that you've been inspired and empowered the way that I was. Professor, thank you once again for gracing us with your presence.
The pleasure of mine.
Thank you. The book will be out soon. It's being edited. It's a dictionary of names. It's going to be a 2-volume. So continue to look out on the Dr. STEM show. We do have a brand new website, www.drstem.org. So once it comes out, we'll have more information on our website. You've been watching the Dr. STEM show. Thank you for watching.